Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Brandon with the Story of God, and today we're going to be talking about Genesis 4 1 through 4:26. Today's cartoon on Patreon, and today's cartoon tomorrow, no, day after tomorrow on Instagram. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to get some titles up on here pretty soon, as soon as I get my editing software and everything. But you can find the Story of God obviously on YouTube, and it seems like you already did, so good job. But on Instagram, I'm /Blomquist23. That's my last name, BLOMQUIST underscore 23. And yeah, so check it out. Anyway, uh, a whole bunch of stuff happening in this particular selection. We got Adam and Eve getting out of Eden, establishing a life for themselves. You know, they just become people, I guess. And then, of course, their kids, Cain and Abel. Now, um, it's not so much that God doesn't like farming or tilling the earth, although the tribe of Abraham was a herding, nomadic people. As much as Abel gave God the choice uh, of his flock, and apparently Cain just gave him some produce from his fields. So that's what ticked God off. Of course, then Cain kills Abel and gets exiled. But, God, for some reason, took pity on him. I guess, he gave him the mark of Cain that would protect him as he traveled to Nod, which, no one's quite sure exactly where Nod was. And then it just kind of says that he gave birth to his kid Enoch, not the Enoch, but a kid Enoch. And then it kind of gets into descendants and what happened next. And we get into kind of the corrupting of humanity, the further corruption of humanity to wickedness, which preceded the big flood. They talk about Jabal, who is a herder, so I said he was a cowboy, which is that's not inaccurate. And then Jubal, who was a musician, the lyre and the pipe or whatever. He was the ancestor of all those who are into music and stuff like that. And then, of course, we got Tubal Cain, the smith or the smelter, who is the ancestor of all who smelted bronze and iron. So, we've got the building blocks of society, and in fact, the building blocks of humanity with culture coming into it and music. And as you know, if you've studied, ancient Hebrew writings, music's a big deal. I mean, David was effectively a bard, in addition to a giant slayer and a pretty badass king. Lamech, who is a descendant of Cain, then comes in bragging about how it says 70-fold in the New American, which is what I work off of, but other people say it's 77-fold. Anyway, he says he's killed people before, and he'll be avenged 70-fold. And also Lamech is a polygamist. He has two wives. This is the first time that pops up. So, God hasn't said anything about monogamy, but I think it bears noting that Lamech is kind of a morally questionable character. He says he killed a child, says he killed a guy, disproportionate responses, to a bruise or an injury of some sort. Kind of a dick. Not a big fan of his, Lamech. So anyway, it all ties into this whole series of corruption following the introduction of murder to the world. There's also the issue, one of the biggest issues I think for this story, where the hell did Cain meet his wife if him, his mom, his dad, and his brother were the only people at that juncture? I don't know. It's murky, I mean, just roll with it, right? It just happens. So get into Adam and Eve having Seth. Seth, who in other writings is expanded, some people say Seth was the father of Kabbalah because Adam taught him some pretty esoteric uh, information and stuff like that. But Seth just gets a brief little snapshot there, posing with his kid Enosh. Chill guy, I think. I don't know. I don't know why. I just have the impression that Seth was super chill and indeed, like, the father of the righteous. And then we get to the part where people name God Lord, um, which I've tried to like dig into a little bit, but I'm not sure I understand that part because nobody ever named God God. God names himself I am later on and is pretty strident in insisting that's his name. Lord, I don't know. I'm not sure. That's interesting. I'm going to dig around a little bit more and try to figure that out. But around that time, people named God Lord, and I guess humanity had spread throughout the world at that point, according to this. So yeah, a pretty interesting entry, a lot happening, and basically humanity getting its foothold outside the garden, and becoming evil and corrupt, which is what we do really well. So anyway, that's for today. Tomorrow on Patreon, we've got the introduction of Noah coming up, and then it's going to be pretty chill. So yeah, I got to get my editing software so I can put titles and a little bit of production into these things. I didn't intend to start a YouTube channel when I decided I was going to go ahead and start sharing the story of God online, but I guess I am, and I think it's pretty cool. Appreciate any comments, anything you can do if you know anybody that's into this kind of stuff, history, religion, all that stuff. I really appreciate helping spread the word. It's kind of tough to stand out with a web comic these days, and any support is sincerely appreciated. My reach is pretty small since, generally speaking, I avoid social media like one would avoid something that they're not too thrilled. I don't like social media too much for myself, but for this cartoon, it's good. It's actually the only way, because anyway, whatever. I digress. Yeah, and then check out the Instagram. I got my Twitter. Of course, the Patreon is a great way to get updates, get these videos, and get everything lined up right. Really enjoy discussing this stuff, and if any of y'all have any insights, really appreciate those being shared, because I like the Old Testament. Don't necessarily believe that it's accurate, but it's a fascinating book, and frankly, the majority of people on this planet, it's kind of foundational to their understanding of the world, at least at a young age, before they make their own choices regarding faith and what they're going to buy and what they're not going to buy. But anyway, yeah, gone over time. I mean, I don't have a lot of people to talk to, what with the COVID situation still going, but I'm getting my vaccine tomorrow. So first dose. So yeah, maybe I'll be able to get out and get on the street corner. In the meantime, thanks for joining me. Thanks for checking out the story of God, and I'll be back tomorrow. So, hasta.